Welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Ethu. I am a recent film graduate, a podcaster, voiceover artist, currently trying to enter the blog space. But all in all, I am multifaceted, and I think I'm the best person to make this video about the 5 mistakes I made in film school, because I have spent 3 years and 4 months in film school, and I know better than anyone what I should have done right in film school. I'm lying, I don't know better than anyone. I don't know where I was going with that. But film school is a great place, guys. I won't lie to you. There'll be a lot of people who try to convince you that you do not need to go to film school. And I feel like everyone knows their abilities. If you know you're a protege with the camera, or you just know how to mix sound, you know how to operate a camera, you don't need any training in that regard, then go forth and prosper and enter the industry. But if you are like me, who got introduced to the world of film later on in life, I feel like film school would be a great place for you. This isn't even like part of the mistakes I made. This is just a general tip. Before you even go to film school, just familiarize yourself with the world of film. Not just watching movies and having movie marathons, but just know basic things, basic film study, who the greatest directors of all time are, writers, which direction are we headed in film right now, what style interests you, what kind of film genre is your favorite, not just as an audience member, but as a creative, what kind of films do you want to make? Have a clear idea and basic knowledge, because film school is not going to be necessarily a place to introduce you to film. Take it as a place to go and enhance your skills, right? Yes, you're going to be there to learn, but it's not going to be, they're going to write what film means, what a camera, it's not going to be like that. Most of the time you're going to be teaching yourself. So just go there already having done that. And it was fun. It was a very beautiful experience for me. I loved the creative freedom I got. I loved the lecture structures. Yes, doing things and learning things by myself in the beginning was really tedious, because I was like, why is no one teaching me? But it kind of is the nature of film. You're gonna have to figure out everything on your own, unless you have connections here and there. So now let's get into the mistakes I made. The first mistake I made was being narrow-minded. I went into film school knowing exactly what I wanted to be. In my mind, I thought I wanted to be a director. So I didn't care about anything else. I was like, director, director, director. And that first month, they leave it open for you to change. They introduce the basics of everything, every department in film, and you start choosing which stations you want to do, right? So where I went, they had this thing where you get taught the basics of every department. So I don't know if every film school is the same. But the thing is, I was still mainly focused on what goes on in directing. I loved CDS, costume styling, costume design and styling, makeup. I love that. But something in me was just, I was like, that's far. And back then, we could only choose things in the similar field. If you want to be a director, you either are a producer or writer. If you want to be production design, you have to go with character design and styling. If you're in music, you have to do sound. But then after the break I took and I came back, I found out that anyone could have been doing anything, and I was very upset. But I think I still would have made the wrong choice, because I would have chosen CDS and directing and neglected writing. And I love writing. I love writing. So I would have let that go. So something I would have definitely did differently was in those free times, and trust me, there's a lot of free time. You could be using it to study, you could be using it to enhance your knowledge on things. But there was like these moments, especially in first year, where I could have maybe explored other disciplines, because they gave us that ability. You just write a lecturer an email and you ask them if you can visit their class, if you want to do assessments for them, go forth and conquer, but it's not going to be in your report. You can expand your knowledge. And I think as a directing student, that came back to bite me, especially in second year. So I did start asking for notes from people in different departments. And just as a crew member, I think it's also very important to know what goes on in other departments, you know, so that when we're having meetings and there's words that are being used, you're not completely lost, right? I don't want to get into broken telephone with other departments because I saw madness. Number two, the second mistake I made was forgetting that I'm in film school. No, I'm kidding. Let me say it properly. When I was writing, I would let my imagination go wild and forget about the budget. Like in writing, they just tell us the theme of the term, and they'd say write whatever, but just make sure it's within this time space. So like in school, our short forms had to be between 5 to 12 minutes long. 5 minutes was more first year, but recently it was like 8 to 12. I could be lying, but around that time gap. And that's like 11 pages. And as a writer, I could write something that was 11 pages long. But when you're reading it, I remember my best project, my favorite project, the script called... You couldn't choose your own project in film school. You do a pitch, people choose it. There's a bit of, it goes to the group with the highest marks first, and then, you know, others get others. It's a whole process I'm not going to explain here. This other group chose my script, and they come to me and they're like, you wrote a feature film? I'm like, no I didn't, that was a short film. They're like, girl, this, you might have wrote a montage in there, but that's gonna be like at least 2 minutes. It's like, damn. So it's basically what I'm trying to say is, in the planning stage, please remember that you're in film school. You have a limited budget. You have limited locations. Yes, you're gonna want to let your imagination run wild, but like really think about it. If you're gonna do XYZ, like try to see, can the people around you make that happen? If you need a drone shot, how much is that gonna cost? Do you have the money for that? Do you have the equipment for that? Because another thing is, in our school, you weren't allowed to use equipment from elsewhere but the school's equipment. So you're gonna add a aerial shot in your script. How are you gonna get it? Is it gonna look authentic if you source it from the net? Just as a writer, don't just think about just letting your imagination run wild. Think about other departments. The third mistake I made was focusing on the practical aspect of film rather than the theory. I see it a lot, especially in my own like external creative endeavors, that I still need to know a lot about film. I need to read up on all the groundbreaking, all the essential techniques to really understand them, because I fall into this trap of wanting to be creative and, you know, stay away from the norm and all of that. And something that my directing lecturer once said, which has stuck with me till today, is before you go and break the rules of film, make sure you know them first, so that what you're breaking visibly seems like an attempt at being creative rather than it looking like a mistake and you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, damn, clocked my tea. So definitely I just downloaded a reading list. Someone uploaded a reading list from Yale of all the film studies textbooks and films they have. We also have a lot of reading lists, and I know in this free time I should be reading that stuff, so I'm gonna try to do that, just enhance the theory in my mind, because yeah, I was always focused on what happens on set, and now I'm not set for explaining all these techniques and why I'm using them. Speaking of techniques, my fourth mistake in film school was not practicing techniques enough out of school. Yes, we'd learn about something in directing class, and you know, we all have phones. We all have like 4K quality. And something I could have done simply would have been to practice what I learned in class on my own time. I think I only practiced things when it was for another project instead of like my own creative fun. So I think That's something I really need. Okay, and the fifth mistake I made. This is like the biggest one. But I made this mistake and it's not networking enough. And as a result, I didn't get to work on a lot of external projects. There's a lot of people that I met in film school who are amazing, who I want to work with again, who I've shared this with, who I've sat down and shared ideas with, but we never got a chance to link up and make these a reality. And I realized that it's very important when building your portfolio to include things you did outside of school. Your portfolio as a filmmaker cannot simply be school projects. So I do really regret being here and not doing things with my fellow creatives. Again, these are simply my mistakes and things that I want to rectify in the coming years. There's no wrong or right way to really go into film school. You will know what works for you and you will know what doesn't work for you. You'll find techniques that you hate and techniques you love. You'll find your style or you might not, and that's not reason to panic if you haven't. You have all the years after graduating to figure yourself out. So the last thing I leave you new film students or film graduates is go into it respecting what you do, the reason certain rules exist, but also don't forget to have fun. And also, you're gonna get a lot of criticism, a lot of feedback, a lot of suggestions on your ideas. At the end of the day, it's your film that you're making and you know what's gonna be best for your film. Trust yourself. Trust and believe yourself, and always have sound research and backup for every single choice you're making, creative or I don't know what else. Where am I going with that, guys? I'm not good with advice. Like, yeah. Thank you for watching this video. No, I'm gonna do it properly. So thank you for watching my video, and please comment some of the things that you'd like to know more about film school or some tips you yourself would like to share with other filmmakers. And yeah. If there's still someone watching at this point, this is tiring.